Hello, people. This is Secret Squirrels. We are in association with Dr. Jerome Corsi, author of over 30 books, and his website, CorsiNation.com. We kind of do the stuff that makes the Corsi Nation tick, and tonight we're trying to move in a slightly different direction. We're still a fairly young show, and we're trying to find our footing at this point, but I've been thinking that we need to move into a more in-depth sort of search for truth, because we have been doing some of that little bit all over the place, trying to get all of the headlines in order, and I just feel like we're not really doing a good job of finding any depth. So I'm kind of revolting against the superficial character of some of our earlier shows, and I want to move us in a different direction that way. So I'm going to be tonight's theme is the Muslim Brotherhood, and by no means is this exhaustive, not even a little bit. And this is only just the kind of tip of the iceberg, as it were, to learn about what the Muslim Brotherhood is and what it means and all that stuff. I am myself, I'm quite an amateur, and I do have somebody here up my sleeve that's going to help me out a little bit, I hope. But in general, the purpose of this is not actually to learn about the Muslim Brotherhood. What? Yeah, so the purpose of this is actually to learn how to do homework. I know, we're out of school, we don't want to do any homework. But, what if you are largely ignorant on a given topic and you want to do some investigation? How do you go about doing that? That's what I'm trying to answer. I mean, that's the main point. But yeah, the topic that we're going to use as illustration for this exercise is the Muslim Brotherhood. So I guess we are learning about the Muslim Brotherhood. Anyway, here we are in, what is this, episode 36, and we're, we got a few shows under our belt. We're getting there, little by little. What do y'all say? April?
I say, assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend that I know what that means, but I don't.
Oh, I didn't know you didn't, but I think it's a good thing to know. It's a greeting in the Muslim world, and it's having the peace of God be with you. And
right.
The response is walaikum salam.
And I'm not going to remember that.
And I wish you the same. Oh, it's only about 5 syllables. You can do it. Yeah,
I'm an old dog. It's hard. It's hard to teach the dog new tricks. At this age, I don't know. Maybe. But anyway, so it's actually in the news. So this Muslim Brotherhood is actually, timely. So, we can have that excuse as that's being the reason why we're investigating this subject. But Muslim Brotherhood is only part of what we refer to as radical Islam or political Islam or whatever you want to call it. And I do not, by any means, intend to, characterize Islam as a whole as being dangerous or bad or whatever. There's particular aspects of Islam that are dangerous, for sure. But we want to try to peel apart the good from the bad, that kind of thing. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I like it when she says that, but I don't know why. But anyway,
we could speculate.
Yeah, well. So this is the timely part of this thing here. October 16, according to UPI, a precision airstrike carried out by U.S. Africa Command killed 60 al-Shabaab militants in Somalia. So where in the heck is Somalia and what's a Shabaab? Well, there you go. So we have a map ready and waiting for you. This is the Horn of Africa, and this is a map of Somalia. I'm not quite sure where in Somalia this took place, but that's where Somalia is, so that's where we're talking about. So, and now, who's this al-Shabaab? Well, according to Wikipedia, which of course is not a reliable source, but it is, I think, a useful place to start our inquiries. So Al-Shabaab, according to Wikipedia, they got a bunch of fancy words. I suppose we could have April pronounce these things for us, because I certainly can't.
I can't see the screen right now, but keep going.
Okay.
As you say, we're trying to peel things away and learn how to research, right?
And keeping in mind that the overall objective, the overall mission in our conspiracy here is to breathe together. That's what conspiracy means. We're breathing together. We're learning together. And that's the big mission, is to learn how to learn, right? Learning how to learn. Okay.
That makes a lot of sense to me. I like that.
Good.
Brain. I like that.
I like it that you like it.
I do. I like that. Conspire, right?
Yeah, we're breathing together, right? So, yeah, this article starts out, and I am going to totally butcher this, and I apologize, but it's Harakat al-Shabaab al-Mujahideen.
That sounds good. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. So it means youth movement, or movement of striving youth, more commonly known as Al-Shabaab. And there's some squiggly lines there that is supposedly how it's supposed to be spelled. But it means the youngsters. It's a jihadist fundamentalist group based in East Africa, and hence the map. We go back to the map real quick. Somalia is on the Horn of Africa, right underneath Saudi Arabia and Yemen. So that would make sense, right? Okay, no, I lost my place. Okay, right. So a jihadist fundamentalist group. What does jihad mean, April?
Well, the jihad is the holy war, right? The war to convert the struggle to convert the world to Islam.
Mm-hmm. So lots of radical Islam people or groups are in some kind of jihad against the West. We know that. But this particular one in East Africa says here in 2012 pledged allegiance to the militant Islamist organization Al-Qaeda. In February 2012, some of the group's leaders quarreled with Al-Qaeda over the union and quickly lost ground. Al-Shabaab's troop strength was estimated at 7,000 to 9,000 militants in 2014. As of 2015, the group has retreated from the major cities. However, Al-Shabaab still controls large parts of rural areas. But, and it may be in this article, but there's another article that I want to turn to just in a second here. Now, this is according to Council on Foreign Relations, which, depending on which conspiracy theory you buy into, it's somewhere in that pyramid of Illuminati, cabal, whoever. But this is the website. This is CFR, their definition of Al-Shabaab. It actually seems to be fairly useful in its definition, but it's so they're defining themselves as the youth, and distinction to a different set of people that had a different strategy in mind. But what are the origins of Al-Shabaab according to the CFR? So this is one of the most impoverished countries in the world. Somalia has seen militant groups come and go in decades of political upheaval. Analysts say the forerunner of Al-Shabaab and the incubator for many of its leaders was, and here's another set of words that I won't be able to say, but Al-Ittihad al-Islami, or Unity of Islam, a militant Salafi group that peaked in the 1990s. So now we have yet another word that we have to look up. What is a Salafi group? What's this?
The Salafi. Let me.
So we have a Wikipedia reference here, Salafi movement, and we turn to that good old Wikipedia. Like I say, these are not, you don't trust Wikipedia as a definitive source, but it is a wonderful place to start. So we're just wetting our whistle here. Salafi movement, or Salafist movement, or Salafism, is a reform branch or revivalist movement within Sunni Islam. So there you go. That's a big clue right there. We're talking about Sunni form of Islam. So Sunni as distinguished from who?
Shia.
Shia and Sunni. They've been at war forever and a day. So we have already isolated we've got a little bit of an understanding of the different, what we're kind of intellectual history, cultural history, what we're dealing with here. So the Salafi movement is specifically Sunni, and it developed in Egypt in the late 19th century as a response to European imperialism. Interesting.
Yes, and I think, too, and I'm just thinking here, I'm just putting this forth as some clues that I've gathered over the years. I've kind of a tentative understanding of a lot of this, but Salafi jihads or jihadists are interested more in a physical struggle for to fight the infidels, to fight non-believers, as opposed to maybe just a spiritual battle.
Or cultural or political or something.
Yeah, that the physicality of it. Yeah, let me just sort of put that out there tentatively.
Mm-hmm. Well,
it makes sense in terms of wanting to kick out the Western colonists from Egypt.
Well, this is all kind of leading roundabout way to the Muslim Brotherhood, and we're going to get there. But you're looking in this Wikipedia article of the Salafi movement. So this is originating in response to European imperialism with its roots in 18th century Wahhabi movement. Very important. We're going to look that one up too. But because the Wahhabis originated in Saudi Arabia, and if you've been following the news there, that's very interesting. So who are the Wahhabis? And so we're going to have to figure out, we're going to have to peel these different layers apart. But the Wahhabi movement is, I think, from what I've understood so far, the Wahhabi movement is, key to understanding all these militant versions of Islam.
Well, it is, I do believe, considered more extreme, a more extreme version of Islam, right? At least according to, I think according to a lot, according to Westerners, it's considered, and interestingly, it's John Brennan who's been accused of being a Wahhabist.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I think it's a theological perspective, but I think we're going to have to get back to that. I want to put a pin in that. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Can I ask a dumb question?
Yes.
I suppose.
Thank you. I know I don't mean to disrupt your show here tonight. There.
Hi, Bandit.
Brain.
Well, I prefer it be a constructive question than a dumb question, but okay.
It's I say it's a dumb question because you guys obviously know about this stuff and I don't. I guess I want to be clarified, something to be clarified here. So I messed up the other day on the Corsi show, and I was talking opposites of Muslim and Islam. And so I need to be clarified here. Islam is the religion, like being a Catholic or being a Christian or being a Jew, correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And Muslim is just the person who is like, Christianity is the religion, and someone who follows that is a Christian. So that's my impression of it. And please correct me, April, if I'm incorrect, about that. But
well, that was my question. That honestly was my question, because why we call a Christian studies Christianity. Mm-hmm. So I would assume
a Muslim studies
Islamist.
Islam.
Well, I would have thought an Islamist studied Islam. What's Muslim exactly? Does that
I think those things all are the same thing, basically.
I think it's a really good question. Islam is the religion, probably is, I guess a lot of people know Islam means surrender. It's a surrendering to God. That's the translation of Islam. And an adherent to that religion is called a Muslim or a Muslim, and maybe you'll even see when you look back in history books, and this is considered politically incorrect now, they were Mohammedans, right?
Or
they
Mohammedans. I've seen that before too.
Muhammad, but it's not a term that's used anymore. If you want to be politically correct, and it's also considered a little bit old-fashioned. But Bandit, you got a good question there, because an Islamist, in that sense, can even have another meaning. It can be like a feminist. It can be somebody who studies feminism. An Islamist scholar can be somebody who studies, the religion. But who knows? They may not even be a Muslim. Let's say somebody said, get what I mean? Yeah. So in that sense, it's just a different spin on the word, a different use of the word.
Slightly different connotations.
And, I think in terms of being accurate and respectful, I like to be respectful. Even the term, now that we're on words, if you don't mind, Brain, I'll try to chime in when I know something. We often call the place of Muslim worship mosque, right? In some circles, in some Muslim circles, that is not a preferred term. It's a term that is claimed to be a Western imposition. And it's even claimed that it's connected with the word mosquito. Mosque. Really? Mosquito. As though back in history, a Westerner said, the Mohammedans were like mosquitoes coming swarm.
Really?
So, respectful way, if you're dealing with a Muslim person and you'd like to be respectful, you can refer to their place of worship as a masjid. M-A-S-J, masjid. That means...
I don't even know if I can pronounce that. What? Masjid.
M-A-S-J-D, masjid. And
wow.
So that, I think that's good, right? It's good to be respectful and to show that, it seems like a lot of people in other parts of the world know a lot about us, right? Sometimes we don't know very much about them. I think sometimes, that could be interpreted as being a little too self-centered, but it's good to learn, as Brain said earlier, huh? Good to learn.
Yes.
To learn.
Well,
and one more question along those lines, and then I'll butt out, honestly. So Muslim is not a connotation as far as like Caucasian or Negro or Hispanic.
It's not an ethnicity.
No, it's religion.
So it is strictly a person who studies or who worships Islam.
Like a Christian.
They
Muslim.
don't worship Islam. They worship Allah.
Yeah.
And they're an inherent,
it's like saying, do you worship Christianity? It's like, no, I don't worship Christianity.
Okay. All right. I said that wrong. Okay. Yeah. All right. So their religion is Islam.
Yes.
They're okay. All right. Thank you very much.
No, I think that was a really good question. You gotta do a lot of research to get to that.
And so we would even, get to the point where we're saying, even be careful about how you characterize your own inquiries. You don't call this a stupid question. It is not a stupid question because it is constructive to our conversation. It's helping us learn. So it's a good question, not a bad question.
Okay. Well, you know me. I'm self-effacing, so.
And I'm just telling you to stop it.
Okay, Dad.
Right.
Hi, Army wife. I can hear you there. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding. And yourself?
Oh, nice to breathe with you.
Yeah.
Jax is still pretty quiet, too. We got a couple people here that are lurking. I think they're lurking.
I'm not allowed to lurk?
Well, you can. You can do whatever you want.
Just don't touch.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
The robot's back.
Oh, crap. And it was such a funny joke. You said, I'm not allowed to lurk. And I said, yeah, just don't touch. Come on.
It's a punny one.
I like touching.
It's punny.
All right.
So getting back to the article is, we're dealing with this currently the Salafi movement. And recall, again, that this is based on this story. Officials say that U.S. airstrike kills 60 terrorists in Somalia. Okay, well, who are these terrorists? Well, they're Muslims. What kind of Muslim? Well, they're Sunni. What kind of Sunni? Salafi. What kind of Salafi? Shabab. See, there's like all these different nested labels.
Hierarchies?
Yeah, they're like different genus and species or something. I don't know.
Things are just a lot more complex, I think sometimes we want to say, this is the Sunni, this is the Shia, this is that. It's really
and real life doesn't always fit into those neat academic things either.
Well, it takes a lot of research, as you say, a lot of learning.
This is our preface to deeper learning. This is us trying to approximate a general idea, a general outline of what we're even trying to understand. So
this is our key.
Well, it's like, it takes a little bit of learning even to understand the nature of the questions you should be asking.
Absolutely. I agree.
You don't
with
even
that.
know enough to know what questions to ask, then you're in trouble.
All right. Are the difference between Sunni and Shiites and such, they're just tribes, different tribes?
Sort of.
They're not tribes.
Well,
they're
sort of.
different.
They're cultures.
Go ahead, Jax.
Well, actually, it's a different ideology of Islam within Islam. They have different beliefs. It's like for the Catholic Church, you would have the Jesuits, you've got the Dominicans, and
the Lutherans versus. Okay.
It's the way that they practice their religion is somewhat different.
But it's got to do with the different authority, the hierarchy that they acknowledge as legitimate heirs to Muhammad.
Right.
I think April should probably be the one to fill us in on that part.
Well, I think it had to do with the way they got started after the death of
Muhammad.
Yes. Well,
there was a lot of infighting. There was a lot of infighting, and Muhammad never really designated an actual. Okay, you're taking over for me when you go. He kind of intimated it, but he never said, "Oh, you're taking over after I'm gone." So there was a lot of fighting between Aisha, his wife, and I think 5 or 6 others, if I'm correct, right, April?
Yes, and the Sunni, I think, got their way. It's something like who became the first Muslim caliph after Muhammad. And
they're just trying to trace out a lineage too, and that lineage is significant
one follows Abu Bakr and the other one follows like Ali. And they've been going their separate routes since.
And Abu Bakr, I do believe, was Muhammad's uncle.
So we have these different lineages that establish different hierarchies, and those hierarchies have developed different histories. I think, what does they call it? The hadith? Isn't that right? The traditions?
Well,
Let me look up.
The Quran is what is like the inspired word of Allah, and the hadith is what people said Muhammad said.
Yeah, now like Catholicism has some respect for oral traditions outside of the revealed text, whereas Protestants do not respect that. So that would be some indication as to why Catholics would be more inclined to have a monastic community and respect for their traditions, whereas the Protestants don't have corollary on that.
I think the Catholics aren't sure what they're doing anymore.
Well,
we're gonna.
But but I'm just trying to draw parallels so that.
Yeah, I know. I get you.
So the Hadith is like all these oral traditions and practices that have gone along with the Quran. So the Quran is the primary text, but then there's a set of traditions that kind of act as commentary on those texts.
You could say that, yeah.
And so the Sunni and the Shia, along with the different political hierarchies, and they have slightly different hadith. So even though they're both followers of the Quran, their hadith is different, and their also their the way that they interpret the law, so and that, but also it also impacts the way that they envision an Islamic state. So the way that they would.
This also ties in with the way they even interpret the Quran, even because different sects interpret it differently.
Yeah, and even talking about it like this is probably terribly oversimplistic. There's going to be so many different sub-traditions and whatnot. So, these are just like these larger classifications. And so it's like we're doing a type of taxonomy here. We're trying to follow out, the evolution of these different bloodlines, as it were, in order to understand the current situation. And to some degree, it doesn't even matter because we just have to deal with the situation as it is now. But in another way, you don't even understand what that situation is unless you do that kind of genealogy. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, where were we? So this article about Shahab, this is the CFR website again. And so what are objectives of Shabab? So many analysts say different factions within the group have different objectives. So even within Shabab, which is itself like this narrow little niche, so Shabab is also further faction. Has so it's like it's so hard to try to generalize with all these different people and different groups, that it's really hard to speak in a way that kind of carries the meaning in a truthful way across all those different boundaries. But here's the part I think which is significant in this is people who are still calling themselves Al-Shabaab are more and more committed to the idea of Sharia law. And so what we're talking about there is the application of the Islamic conception of, morality in a political environment. So this is a political. So now the religion is synonymous with their political system. So they're trying to make the two together. They're trying to smash them together. So they wouldn't. They're trying to eliminate the distinction between the sacred and the secular, right? Trying to wipe out that difference and just have the sacred law and no secular law. And you start looking into that thing like with the journalist, being at odds with the new king in Saudi Arabia. Why is that? It's because that new king is trying to have more of that secular side, to respect the difference between sacred and secular. Not that he's trying to eliminate the sacred, but he wants to have a political system which is independent from the religious system. And that's something that goes directly contrary to the Muslim Brotherhood. Let's look at the Muslim Brotherhood as such. And this is the Wikipedia stuff. So this is only our primary thing, our little initiation into this world. So the Society of the Muslim Brothers, better known as Muslim Brotherhood, is a transnational Sunni Islamist organization founded in Egypt by Islamic scholar and schoolteacher Hassan al-Banna. The organization gained supporters throughout the Arab world and influenced other Islamist groups such as Hamas, with its model of political activism combined with Islamic charity work. And in 2012, sponsored the elected political party in Egypt after the January Revolution in 2011. However, it faced periodic government crackdowns for alleged terrorist activities. So they're terrorists. This is where our radical stuff comes from, is because they're trying. Their job, as they see it, is to eliminate Western influence in Islamic countries, and probably to take over the world with Islam by force. That's why that's how they interpret their religion. That's what the religion means in their mind. So,
I'm sorry, I was disconnected for a while. I don't know why.
Oh,
I didn't.
So the guy that started the Muslim Brotherhood was this guy Hassan al-Banna.
Yes.
When?
This is he lived from 1906 to 1949.
Okay, because Hitler hooked up with the Muslim Brotherhood.
You know.
And I just was wondering how long they had been around.
Yeah, he's probably roughly contemporary of Hitler.
You know, when I was in the Mideast, I got some really interesting texts about al-Banna. And I would have prepared more if you have another related episode.
Yeah, we can do this again. Become more specialized as we go.
He studied in the U.S. and he was very immersed in American culture. And one of the things that he was really shocked about was there was like a high school dance in a church hall where young American kids, and this would have been in the early part of the century, 1900s, maybe the 30s or the 40s. And he wrote in his autobiography that he was shocked at how the Westerners or the infidels would allow their youth to dance with each other in such close proximity. Mm. And he was culturally, this was so foreign to him that he
he's a prude.
had a great
I mean, back in the 50s, the same thing was here in the United States. Rock and roll came around. Let me tell you, it was not pretty. The behavior was not as relaxed as it is now.
So we're looking
I think that's a good connection.
And some people, their minds are literally back in where we were at in the 50s. If their minds are even that expanded, many of them still live hundreds of years behind us.
Well, and I think that's important. I think that's important. Is it seems that many of them have regressed rather than progressed.
Exactly. Yeah, they have.
This last little bit of this first paragraph in Wikipedia seems like very instructive. Is al-Banna's ideology involved criticism of Western materialism, British imperialism, and the traditionalism of the Egyptian ulema. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he appealed to Egyptian and pan-Arab patriotism, but rejected Arab nationalism, and regarded all Muslims as members of a single nation community. So they're trying to. The Muslim Brotherhood advocated gradualist moral reform, and so that idea of this gradualism, if we go back to the concept of communism, the history of communism, that you had the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks. I mean, just something in my mind that talks about, the Bolsheviks are the ones that we know about because they're the ones that kind of took over Russia, but that was actually the minority. They actually, most of them were, I think that's what the word actually means. Mensheviks is like the majority. They believed in that, the long, slow march through the institutions. So I'm wondering about that, if he's adopted this particular strategy, this gradualist reform. It's kind of like that whole frog in a pot of boiling water thing where you gradually turn up the heat.
Yeah.
I don't know who's influencing whom. Is he like part of this original cabal? Did he get infected by the cabal? Because one of the questions I'm asking is like, okay, cabal. You got the Muslim Brotherhood with Brennan and Huma Abedin and Valerie Jarrett. You got all these Muslim Brotherhood people, and I think Obama himself was part of the Muslim Brotherhood during college anyway. And so if you've got all these people that are working, that are the cabal, and they have this Muslim Brotherhood connection, then how do you explain China right now? Because China just got done smashing a bunch of Muslim, killing Muslims over there. So if it's the same cabal, how do you reconcile that you have, on the one hand, they're pushing Islam, on the other hand, they're killing it?
I think Islam is the means to the end. Those people are radical enough that they'll do whatever, and then the Chinese will go in and take them.
Yeah, I agree with. I agree with Jax. I think it's like two gangs in a turf war or such. They come together to fight the cops. They really can't stand each other, but they'll come together to fight the cops and get the cops out of their neighborhood or whatever. Right. I mean, that's a simplistic idea there, but I think I agree with Jax. They're using each other.
Yeah, what my take on it basically is with the Muslim Brotherhood is they want to be the one who takes down the United States of America into total chaos, and China wants to control the United States of America. To literally,
right? They'll step in afterwards. Yep,
exactly. Yeah, they're the cleanup crew.
Well, it's like the Muslim Brotherhood is there to fight the cultural war, whereas China exists to fight the economic war. Is that a possibility?
Could be. So, yeah, absolutely. It could be that way, but they're working together. They'll both get something out of it, but in the end, I think China will be the ultimate. Would have been the ultimate victor. Right. I think now that everything's changing. That's just my opinion. I'm not.
It's a valid
we're just speculating based on very, very limited information at this point. But I think I have no problem with speculation as long as we're clear that it is speculation. So I found a what appears to be a cool site. It's called counterextremism.com, and it has its definition of Muslim Brotherhood, which is going to vary quite a bit from the CFR version, I suspect. But so places of operation: Egypt. Muslim Brotherhood affiliated groups operate in Algeria, Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Libya, Morocco, Palestinian territories, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Tunisia, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates, and Yemen. And the overview: it's got a bunch of different names where the Muslim Brotherhood is known by other titles. And I think that we've established that this Al-Shabaab are an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. There's Salafism that we were talking about earlier. So Salafi is like a spin-off of the Muslim Brotherhood, and then the people that got killed in Somalia. Was it today? I forgot when that was. Friday. So Friday is when that strike was. But anyway, so I think, and this is just introductory sort of stuff, is thinking that this is part of it's just like an offshoot, like a sect within a sect, all that stuff.
Do you plan on segueing into Jamal Khashoggi?
We could talk about that, but because that's definitely related. It's definitely in the news, and it's of that same, because that's the journalist. If you guys don't know, that's the journalist that they're trying to pin on Trump. That he got murdered, and they're trying to pin it on Trump. That's something that he did, which in a sense, it does make sense in a way, because we got rid of the bad branch of the Saudi royals. And the new guy that took over is trying to introduce secularism into Islam within Saudi Arabia. So it does make sense.
The new guy is, and this is really generalizing, is anti-Muslim Brotherhood. And Khashoggi has Muslim Brotherhood ties.
Yeah, that's kind of how he started out his career, right? Is Muslim Brotherhood. I don't think he ever left either, so...
He may not have, and I don't think it's just. I don't think it's just a simple assassination because we don't like him. I think Khashoggi was a deeper enemy and was very. I think more than Khashoggi being an enemy to the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince was an enemy to the Muslim Brotherhood. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, and we don't know. I mean, so much of this is a speculation. It could be that the cabal didn't want him talking, and they killed him because they didn't want him talking. Who knows? We don't know.
So have they found a body yet, or are there still speculation?
Not that I know of.
No, they haven't. But I mean, at least we don't know. There's also another thing to complicate this. The Turks, I can't generalize, and I really, boy, if there's any Muslims listening to us now or any Arabs, I hope they see we're trying to be respectful and not,
we're trying to peel out those differences and stuff.
Yeah, we're not trying to be disrespectful or act like we're talking about something we don't know about. But Khashoggi is connected even now, if he's even in death, with the Muslim Brotherhood, right, in life or in death. And he's not just an innocent journalist who was killed, as the way I take it, the mainstream media in the U.S., wants to frame this as an innocent. Look, one of us has died.
Right.
That's because they're trying to paint him as a good Western liberal when he was nothing of the sort.
Well, he was he was very anti-Western.
Right.
And note who he was writing for, the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think a lot of people would like to complicate the U.S.'s relationship with, or let me say, Trump's relationship with the Crown Prince now. And Turkey, by the way, doesn't like Saudi Arabia. And I'm generalizing. There's a whole layer of Turkish people or government officials who don't like Saudi Arabia. They think Saudi Arabia has too much money and they flaunt it and they're bad tourists.
Well, the Turks also have problems with the United States. And so my thinking is with his disappearance, we treat it as a disappearance. And unless there's a body, there's no crime. Because I think that's the safest thing at this point, because no matter which way we go down that road, it's going to give us the tendency to point fingers that probably we're going to sit there and say, oh, well, maybe, yeah, we shouldn't have done that.
Yes.
But that's just my opinion.
No, based on what I know and how I've been reading this, as Dr. Corsi said, decoding the future, I think it's unfortunate if anybody is killed like that. It's
right.
Thou shalt not kill. If indeed that's what happened, but it's not a simple thing like this innocent right-writing journalist was martyred.
Right.
There was a lot more to it than that.
Right.
There is a lot more to it.
And like I think said, that's how it should be treated. Go ahead.
And like I said, that's all right. Like I said on Corsi Nation today, if they're making a big deal out of it, there's a reason. We've learned this over the last year. If mainstream media, if the leftists are making a big deal out of something, it's usually the opposite of what they're saying, and it's usually to further an agenda of theirs.
Right.
Because obviously we've seen it too many times. We've seen them ignore women that are being abused by Democrats, but they'll blow up on women who, they just do the opposite of what is reality. And so if they're making a big deal out of this, there's an agenda to push, and it's not something that we should even...
Back to his Muslim Brotherhood ties, there's just so many factors that could play into that. He could have just ticked off the wrong person and he got mugged, and he's tied up in the back of an alley somewhere, and he just hasn't broken from his ties yet. It's any number of things could have happened. And like I said, I like the no body, no crime thing until we see proof.
You know what?
Yeah, well, he might be a Jimmy Hoffa.
Well, this is interesting to me. You guys have to tell me something. Because right now, my YouTube is not working.
It hasn't worked since quarter after.
Really? Did they shut us off?
Brainstorm.
No, all of YouTube is down.
Who's Brainstorm.
On? Yes?
It's Patriot 3.
Yes?
Hi.
Hi.
We're trying in California to get YouTube, and it's down. Everything we're trying is down.
All of YouTube.
All of YouTube.
I've gone from video to video trying to do
nothing. They've got a 500. They've got a 500 error.
Yep.
Sorry, it's working for me.
Is it working for me?
That shows that you guys are actually cabal.
So that's really interesting because I am my OBS is reading solid green. I'm uploading.
Really?
So
it's working for me. I'm watching YouTube right now, and I'm listening to us with about a 2-second delay, 3-second delay.
I think the ICANN thing again. Sorry, guys.
So I find it interesting. I mean, well, I guess if all of YouTube's down, it can't be just us. I was kind of hoping to be more important than we are, I suppose. But, you know, I guess I'll just continue on.
It's a little weird, though. It is a little weird because we're trying in a lab and we're trying to get it, and we were getting the same error message for about 15 or 20 minutes.
Mine's down now, too.
Huh.
How are you doing?
Mine's still going.
Brain?
Yeah, when I refresh mine, it has a
static
error code. Please try again later. Blah blah.
Not to scare you guys, but didn't Q say something about 10 days? At least 10 days.
Yeah, we're expecting
darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Just when I refresh it, there's nothing other than an error.
But I'm going to keep going because my OBS is giving me the green light. I think we're still broadcasting. You know, I think
we're listening.
We might be saving. It might save archive or whatever.
I'm getting it through, guys. I'm watching it right now. You've got Doctrine up there. Move something.
It's like,
Brain.
Okay. So I changed to the Counter Extremism Project.
I just watched your mouse, your cursor.
Saeed Khatib.
Yeah. I've got it.
There you go. Maybe some people out there are getting it. At least one guy.
Overview. Yes.
Saeed Khatib was an Egyptian author and lead theologian of the Muslim Brotherhood. So this is during the 50s, right? So his extremist theories have helped inform the tenets of an ideological movement often referred to by analysts as Qutbism. Born in Asyut Governorate, Egypt in 1906, Qutb, I don't know how to say that. April, Qutb. How would you say that?
I'm looking at it again. Saeed Qutb. Khatib. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's not quite. Do something like this.
I can't do that. I'm not going to.
Like it's not the Quran, like a K. It's a Quran.
Quran.
Do it more in your throat.
It's one of those guttural things.
Yeah. No, it's not quite guttural, but it's back there.
Well, so he was executed by hanging in 1966. His writings, particularly Milestones and In the Shade of the Quran, are believed to have inspired the leaders of future Islamist terror groups. So here we go. Yeah. This is the guy that we have to learn about, right? Or at least his writings. And I'm going to go ahead and link and click on this other link. This.
Here it is. Here it is, Brain. This is Khatib was saying he would later write in a book entitled The America I Have Seen. He said, this primitiveness can be seen in the spectacle of the fans as they follow a game of football or watching boxing matches or bloody, monstrous wrestling matches. The spectacle leaves no room for doubt as to the primitiveness of the feelings of those who are enamored with muscular strength and desire it. And then, watch this one. He's talking about this. Every young man took the hand of a young woman, and these were the young men and women who had just been singing their hymns, red and blue lights with only a few white lamps illuminated the dance floor. The room became a confusion of feet and legs, arms twisted around hips, lips met lips, chests pressed together.
Why does this remind me of Augustine? He's kind of tormented with his sexuality or something.
He does sound like that, doesn't he?
It's like he's got hang-ups, and he expects everybody else to have the same hang-ups he does or something.
But okay, here's another one of those.
Yeah.
Here's another one of those questions.
He thinks we got hang-ups.
Right.
Here's another one of those questions of mine. With the whole, what was it we were learning? If boys don't have hair under their armpits, they're not considered male yet.
Yeah.
And you know, there is the whole thing about cutting women's clitorises off, and they are so hung up on sexuality as a whole. They've got to be twisted up inside. They have to be. It's just not natural how they treat their sexual beings. It's just not
the
natural.
women are property and all that stuff. Yeah, it's weird.
Right. They cannot enjoy it, and the men enjoy it. They say that they're homophobes, yet boys that don't have,
as long as it's pedophilic homosexuality.
Right. That is so messed up.
Well, I have a question. So if you don't have hair in certain places and you're not a man, what about the men with alopecia? The inability to grow hair. That's all I want to know. Is those poor guys, are they victimized?
You're causing trouble, Jaxie.
Okay, let me cause a little trouble, Bandit.
Go for it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I see what you were saying, and I agree with you. I just like to ask you the question I'm asking myself right now, too.
Sure.
What do you suppose people who have views like Katub's, what do you suppose they think when they look at, let's all of us in our own mind picture the most sensual, the most sexually explicit Hollywood actors or
she's asking us to have a dirty mind.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, I like this practice.
Yeah.
People doing the tango? Sorry.
All right.
I'm going to say that they're confused. I'm going to say that in all naturalness, they're turned on because that's just a natural part of being a human being.
How do you know that?
How
do you know it's not a product of your conditioning?
Listen to me. Different people.
Brain, be cool for a couple seconds.
Yes, ma'am.
Different people.
I'm going to meekly go over to the corner.
Get turned on. You've been chastised. Just go sit in your corner, mister. If she had a ruler, your fingertips would have been smacked.
Yeah.
No,
anyway.
I wouldn't do that.
She's better than the penguins.
Okay, this is a little side. I won't even get into what it is, but anyway, the average person, we know through the fact of reproduction, and I mean, most everybody wants to have children. Most everybody and that need to have children. Whenever I talk, by the way, nothing's ever 100%. I want you to know that. Okay, I don't ever mean 100% of everybody. So most people, most human beings want to further the species. They want to have children. Okay, in order to do that, you have to have sexual congress. Okay, sexual congress, with that comes sensuality and different forms, different shapes, and different ideas in everybody. But in the basic man and woman normal relationship, those men are turned on, and they are probably confused because their religion tells them not to be.
We have a different, like during the puritanical periods, we'd have people that were turned on by piano legs. So explain that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. But no, Bandit, I totally agree with you. I'm just saying that the depravity of Hollywood and the depravity of some of the pornographic stuff that has become so explicit in the U.S. now, it doesn't really help our cause much.
No,
that's all I'm saying.
and it has taken away. People have become numb, if you will. I'm afraid we have a whole generation who can get on their tablet, get on their smartphone, get on their computer, and find anything, and I mean anything.
Yep.
And I stress that because some of it you don't ever want to see, but they can find anything they want at the touch of a button. So they see these things that are not real life, mind you, and then they try to.
I'm not sure if it's not real life. I'm not sure.
Well, no. I'm saying. It's how yes, thank you. There you go. It's staged. It's Hollywooded up. It's men are larger than what they are normal. Women are more promiscuous than what they are normal.
Stormy Daniels.
Yes, exactly. And so these kids get a larger than life picture of what it should be like.
Yeah.
And they get A, numb to it, or B, high expectations that never are fulfilled. And it's a sad, sad thing. It's going to affect a whole generation of kids coming up. I sometimes wish.
Ways. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah. Oh, absolutely. We sidetracked, didn't we?
Yeah, but that's good. But I just wanted to say that, somebody said, "Oh, wow, Saudi Arabia is really going to open up to the West, or become more secularized or something." And they're going to have Hollywood movie theaters in Riyadh. And I thought, oh my God.
Yeah, it's going to be a shock, a culture shock.
But it's not even just going to be a culture shock. I'm not sure we're going to be sending the best of the West through those.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I'm talking about.
But you did know that since the Saudi prince took over, that women now, for the first time ever in Saudi Arabia, can drive.
Yeah.
Well, they have to be 30 years old and have somebody in the car with them.
There are. Okay. All right. There's some rules, but just that alone to me. And then there was something else. Voting, maybe? Was there something else? Can women vote?
Well, when I was there were even women who held office. So a lot of that is.
Okay. All right. Well, I just had heard.
Nobody even wants to drive in Saudi Arabia. You know what? I'm going to tell you something, and I feel very strongly about this. I taught in Saudi Arabia for a while. And when I taught my students, they were all female students. I didn't go in there and say, okay, now we're going to write an argumentative essay on why women should drive. I didn't.
Sure.
I was in Rome. Right. I was going to do as the Romans did. But no, I got another point. I'm going further with this. I would tell them, don't worry about driving a car. You're going to learn to drive a car. That's no problem. What you got to learn is to learn to drive your life. And think about how many women in the U.S. may drive a car, but maybe they're not driving their life. Or they got barely enough money to fill that gas tank up with. And then they got to worry about repairs. And then they got to worry about car insurance. Now, granted, our president is doing a lot to help with these economic factors. But I'm just making a point. Drive your life.
Amen.
Thank you, Bandit.
This is the most interesting show I've ever heard.
There you go.
Hey, April, I'm going to tell you something because I'm so proud, and I'm just going to take a second away, and then we can get back on track there, Brain. I'm sorry to derail your show. My 15-year-old daughter is 5'10". She plays volleyball. She is the love of my life. She is most like me out of all four of my kids, and she is a 4.0 grade average. She is a freshman, but she's starting as a sophomore volleyball player, and she is going out for basketball, and in the middle of all this and keeping a 4.0 grade average, she has started up a Fulton Christian Athletes Association. So it's Christian athletes, female athletes, and no, there's both male and female. Anyway, but she got 2 text messages that were sent to her phone by mistake one day, and she looked at her mom and she said, well, I guess this is a sign. I need to start up a Christian athletes association in our town. So here she is, a freshman. She's a 4.0 grade average, going out for 2 sports, starting in both sports, and now she's starting this Christian Athletes Association. So I am so proud of her. She is driven.
She is driving.
Nobody I say.
She's driving her life, and she's America's finest. That's what I would like the Saudi young women to meet, and I would like her to meet the Saudi young women.
She would love that. She honestly would love that. She is a people person. She is she's so great. So great. Anyway,
you know how Dr. Corsi would say he met so many wonderful people, so many wonderful Muslims when he was in Iran and marching with them. And likewise, I met some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life in Saudi Arabia.
Well, okay. Sorry about that, Brian. You can get back to your show.
Yeah. Well, I've been slowly scrolling through this philosophical analysis of the underlying ideology of radical Islam. It seems to be a point of departure for all radical forms of Islam. So I think that would be very interesting. Although, given the language that he's employing here, he's obviously versed in continental philosophy from psychoanalysis, so that'd be Lacanian stuff, and Zizek, and
oh my God,
Zizek, yeah. Anyway, so I mean, people who study continental philosophy, and I'm sorry to say, are very in love with their own vocabulary. I think they just like to use a lot of words. And they invent words, and it's unnecessarily confusing. They don't know how to say things in a clear way.
Oh, I agree with you.
And I had a master's degree instructed that was that way. That would I'd have to pull out a thesaurus, and I'd tell them, you know what, that's all very nice, but I don't understand what you just said. Let me just look it up.
Yeah, and then they have a way of putting it on you that you should be more well-read or something, when in point of fact, the purpose of communication is to get the idea across. And it's just their way of exercising some kind of bully, it's intellectual bullying.
They just like to obfuscate.
Yeah, it's not even, they're not even saying anything all that insightful or profound or anything like that. They just don't know.
But the words make it sound insightful.
Yeah, they pretend to be more educated because they know more words, and that just makes you a grammarian or something. I don't know what.
Wordsmith.
Yeah, so like the analytic tradition is very different. It's the English, so British and American philosophy takes the opposite strategy. Their goal is to be clear in writing, and I don't agree with the atheism that's almost implicit in their writing, but at least they try to be clear about what they're saying, whereas the Continentals are always trying to confuse you. And, the goal, as far as I understand it, is to assume your audience is a, what do you call it? An educated layman.
Retard?
No. You want somebody who, you want your audience to be someone who is capable of understanding, basic stuff. And you need to know some things, but especially like if you're doing a specialist paper, but when you're doing, I don't know who his intended audience is here. He's writing both to religious scholars and to security experts. So,
who's the author? Who are you talking about?
Oh, let's see. Who is this?
YouTube?
No, he's Andrea Mura. So this is in comparativephilosohy.org. Oh. It's a journal, Comparative Philosophy Journal, Volume 5, Number 1, published in 2014. It is an open access journal. We'll have to give them that. But that's
The name is Andrea?
That's the first name, Andrea Murrah, M-U-R-A.
You sure it's a he?
No.
Okay.
Brain, and I was just going to say, when you're pronouncing these words like Q-U-T-B, or even just Q-T-B. Yeah. Arabic doesn't use vowels like we do. So just pronounce the consonants.
I have a hard enough time with the vowels. What do you mean? I don't even know what. I don't. I don't even know how to approach that.
Well, I'm sorry I said it.
Well,
I'll just pull it back in.
I don't really like butchering people's names, but at the same time, I don't necessarily care about it, who the author is, or I don't care about the names. I care about the ideas. What is it that they're trying to say, and what is it we're supposed to get from it?
And look, I was just trying to be helpful because you said earlier, April, how do you pronounce this?
I want to get in the ballpark, but I don't care.
I said Masalama or Leila Saida to you.
Okay, but what about this guy? We got a French name here for you. See what you can. Badiou. He's like a philosophy of mathematics, I think.
I don't care about how you pronounce his name. I just care about his
French.
ideas.
It's the reality. I'm just being honest with you. I don't care about people's names.
Okay, April.
Yes, sir.
Is it P or B? Come on. Is it April or Abril?
That is a good question, Bandit. I love your question.
So what is it?
It's a B, Abril or April. But in some languages, like Spanish and Arabic, there is no P. There's just
B. So you like it pronounced with a P, April.
You can. Yeah.
Well, no, so she's not giving us an answer. That's the bottom line.
No, she's not. Exactly. She's not. I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me how
you guys are
want.
Ganging up on me.
I want you to call. Here, I have the utmost respect for you. I want to know what you want to be called.
Cut
you can call.
Not late for dinner.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
that one's funny. Call me anything, but don't call me late for dinner, Jax. That's good.
Oh my goodness.
And we're off.
Really, Patriot 3? Really?
Yeah.
We had to do that one.
Okay, April.
This is our,
I like that. Perfect. The way you said it there was perfect.
Abby.
Thank you.
Abby.
All right. Abby Normal.
Yeah.
There we go.
And I'm going to go to my apartment.
Oh.
That's kind of funny.
Yes.
I think I'm gonna go eat a beach. Never mind.
That's it.
Anyway.
I'm gonna, just for the benefit of people who don't have the visual component of this, I'm gonna read a little bit of this essay, and just to give you an idea of how continental philosophy people how they talk. So here we go. Although crucial differences exist between Kutub's counter-hegemonic universalism and continental accounts of universality, to which I will briefly hint at in the conclusion, to examine the inclusive dynamics of Kutub's universalistic vision is useful in consideration of the debate on the demobilizing effects of neoliberal post-politics. In this respect, the topological reading will help unfold the multidimensionality of Kutub's antagonistic model and in his way to account for conflict. Moreover, it will also contribute to the general debate on universalism, providing it with a spatial representation of what a universal surface could look like.
Where's my gun?
Within which enduring flows of transformations can be accounted.
It's 50 pounds.
Bandit, any chance you can get him and put his head into the pool again?
Stop it. I tell you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That was painful.
Well,
That would have to be one of the driest paragraphs I have ever heard in my life.
That wasn't a paragraph. He was saying that out the top of his head, just like the person he was just talking to.
Yeah. Wait a minute. I've actually been in that conversation with Brain before, so.
Well, some of this stuff does make sense, and that's kind of the trouble. Is like he has like one paragraph full of gobbledygook, and then he does have a couple of actually useful pieces of information. So I mean, you just kind of wade through it and see what you can find.
Wade, that is a very key word.
Who is drinking? Who's drinking?
Good, Army wife. That's really good.
Good Lord.
Okay. I have to go do some work.
April. Yes. April's been into the beach schnapps.
No, I haven't.
So let's back out of this just a little bit and recontextualize things and get a little, because what the heck?
Oh my God!
So if we remember at the beginning was this story. Quit it. Officials, U.S. airstrike kills 60 terrorists in Somalia.
Stop laughing.
So terrorists, where do they come from? So cut them. Now you know. Cut them. You got to hawk when you say it and not use any vowels. So cut them. I don't know. There you go. That's our show, because now you know the source of all of our troubles.
I'm going to say good night. Ma salama.
Well, we're all saying good night if you haven't figured that out.
Yeah.
My Sharona.
We're all saying goodbye because we just can't take it anymore.
I did figure it out, but thank you very much, Bray.
Hey,
you know we didn't figure out though is your name.
We're gonna duke it out, April.
Yes,
April. We're gonna duke it out.
No name's already taken.
Yeah. And remember, conspiracy just means that we're going to breathe together.
Why not?
And we're doing a lot of breathing together here, people. We're doing a lot of it.
Oh my gosh.
People.
There you go. April.
This is a
April, change yours to Smokey.
Okay.
Because we could be Smokey and the Bandit.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah,
hey,
you can do.
It was nice hanging with you.
Same here. Wish it was more often.
Me too. I barely got enough energy. But I'm going to read up on this, so next time, Brain, you have us conspire together, I'll have a little more to offer.
Oh, you were an excellent contributor tonight. I appreciate your presence.
Fire.
You were kicking
We
it.
love it when you're here, April.
Oh, you're too kind, Jack.
You are my
I
muse.
love it.
Yeah, wait.
Princess.
Oh my goodness.